this clothes basket up there, put him in there, and I was able to play, because at the conference, this one rehabilitator, I believe in Georgia, has recorded hunger cries from different raptors. So I was able to play on my recorder this hunger cry of a baby barred owl over and over again to try to get the parents to come out. So around 7:15, it was just getting dusk. You have to do this when it's getting dark for them. So 7:15, I put the little guy up in the nest, where he proceeded to hop out onto my back. He didn't do that when we practiced at home. So I put him back in, and he stayed in. I played the calls, and I thought I moved way far away. I had binoculars and everything. And I was waiting. In about 15 minutes, I heard a hoot. Yay. And I'm waiting there. And I thought I saw some flying around, but I really didn't want to leave until I knew the parents were there. I was worried. It wasn't until an hour later, and I was getting ready to give up. I knew the parents were around, but they never actually approached the bird, and I was really worried. So I got back on my ladder and was getting ready to climb up to go get the bird. And I was up there and I was reaching in, and I saw a movement, and there was an adult barred owl about 20 feet away from me, waiting for me to leave, apparently. So I climbed down, grabbed all my stuff, turned off the recording, and as soon as I left the woods, hooting began. And it was both parents, I think the siblings, I think it was just, it made me smile. It made me feel so good to know that I did the right thing. It took me 6 hours total time, drive time from start to finish, but it was worth it. And then I got an email 2 weeks later and was told that the gentleman saw an adult barred owl fly to a tree,
cool.
And then the baby flew right up next to him. So it worked. It felt good.
It has to be rewarding.
It is. And I wish the people were able to get my number first, so I could have told them, just go ahead and leave the animal. It's probably fine. So.
You said you go to conferences?
Yes. The Wildlife Center of Virginia hosts conferences every year. There's national, international associations that host conferences, and I go there to learn, to educate myself. The wildlife rehabilitation is education. I mean, you have to learn what you're doing. It's not just jumping in and feeding the animal whenever, thinking you can do it. There's a lot involved.
Oh,
There's
I'm sure
a
there
lot
is.
involved. And a lot of people think, oh, you just feed it, and it's not the case. So and I learn from other rehabilitators, veterinarians are getting involved in it, and it's becoming very interesting in learning how far we're getting ready to go with this. So
that's
like I said, we learned that learning that you can put babies with other parents and they're going to take care of it.
Yeah, that surprised me when you told me that.
That is wonderful news. It's wonderful news, especially for me, because then that takes away, I don't have to worry about trying to find the time and resources to handle these baby birds that come in, when I can let the parents, who are much better at it than I am, to take care of these birds.
But I think you do a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have to renew your license on a regular basis, or are you just licensed by the state of Virginia, or how do you get a license?
I have my state license and my federal license. They both expire with in a year or two, depending. Some of them go for 3 years. But in order to keep your license, you have to have 6 hours of continuing education every year. That's why you go to these conferences and take these classes in order to continue your education.
But now, do you take a state licensing exam?
No.
You don't have to do that.
No, I don't do state licensing, no. But there is, for your federal license, there's a class that's hosted by the National Wildlife Rehabilitation Association. You have to take this one class. That's a basic class. It's a 2-day class that you have to pass that in order to actually get your federal license.
I know that right after you came and talked to us, that the press wanted to come out and watch you release some birds.
Right.
Did they ever do that?
I did not have a bird to release at the time, and I really didn't want to bring anybody in to look at the animals. I'm protective of them. I don't let anybody come in. I don't even talk to them when I work with them. I try not even to smile, as much as that sounds crazy, because I don't want to scare them. I'm trying to keep them as less stress as possible when I go out. I go a little too far, and I know that, but I feel like I'm doing it in the best interest of the animals.
How about your children? Jennifer has 2 little girls.
Yes.
And I think that it's interesting that these children are being brought up with the respect
yes.
for these birds that a lot of kids aren't.
Right, right. And they're very proud of what I do. They're very proud of what I do. They get kind of bored sometimes. Oh man, Mommy's got to go get a hawk, I've been to their Christmas parties. I'm like, girls, we have to leave. I just got a wildlife call. So they like it. It does take away a little bit from the family, but it's rewarding. I mean, what I do is rewarding. And the releasing of the animal, to know that I gave it a second chance, is definitely, wonderful. And yes, I'm teaching them. I'm hoping for them to be future rehabilitators.
That would be great.
Yes, and they're too young to help me at this point, but I'm hoping when they get older that they'll be able to start helping me.
Are there some birds that you can't put in cages with each other?
Every one I get is usually in their own cage inside for rehabilitation purposes. If you get like a young orphan and you definitely want to put orphans in with the same species. You want them to socialize that way. But as far as adults, because raptors are territorial, I don't really combine them. In the flake cage, I can put same species together. If I'm out of room or something, or if I need to test them both flying at the same time, I can put multiple in.
I think that's, I just have the greatest amount of respect for what you do. Everybody in our science fiction club is some kind of animal lover.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons we embraced you so, because we're always interested in hearing what somebody else is doing to help animals. Any specific animal that you've gotten terrifically attached to that
A specific animal?
or a specific bird that you've been attached to that you
Yes.
haven't wanted to let go?
Actually, in Maryland, when I was working at that one rehab center, they actually had a permanent red-tailed hawk there. Her name was Lady. She had been there for, I think, 9 years. So I knew her about for 7 years.
Oh,
And she came in. The veterinarian was guessing maybe 3. Unfortunately, her wing had to get amputated, which is why she could not be released, and they kept her as a permanent there. This was a long time ago, so the regulations have changed a little bit, but because of where they did the amputation, she would fall over sometimes, so we kept her inside the clinic. And the odd thing is, she was wild, but she loved being inside the clinic. Usually you think it would stress them out. We tried putting her outside, and she didn't like it. She actually wanted to be in there. She was an amazing, amazing animal.
Do you think that was because of some kind of instinctual thing, thinking about her own safety? Or
No, I think it was just her personality. Sometimes you'll meet ones that do wonderful in captivity. There's other ones who don't do good in captivity, but once in a while you come across one who actually does really good. And she didn't, she was just a wonderful bird. I fell in love with her, and I was the one who ended up taking care of her when I started working in there and volunteering there. I actually kind of ended up being the one who did everything for her. So
I'm sure it's easy to get attached to
Yes.
animals. And, I'm in listening to what you just said, having cats all my life, and maybe a dog or two thrown in as I was growing up, each animal seems to have its own personality, but you just don't think about birds as having a lot of personality.
They do.
They just
They
seem,
do.
unless it's something that speaks
Right.
to you. But so that's interesting to me that you said that this bird had so much personality.
She did. She had lots of personality, and when you look into their eyes, you see it. They have deep souls. So I love them.
Your husband, is he interested as well?
He loves what I do.
Good.
It takes a lot of time and energy and money and resources, but he loves what I do. So.
Well, Jennifer, I thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
I just respect and admire you for what you do. And if anybody needs any cheesecake, we know where we can get these cheesecakes.
Yes.
If you have any comments about tonight's show, please send them to our email address, lynchburglivenow@8ol.com. Always glad to hear from you. We'll be back, not next week, but the following week, with another interesting guest from the Lynchburg area. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.